impressive evolution that you could have when we're thinking about the future of broadcast. First, because we're going to come up with what we call our Cirrus strategy. Cirrus is our hybrid solution to be able to provide OTT solutions. So OTT, it's over the top. It's the ability to provide also on-demand capabilities, let's say with the same kind of, let's say, hybrid experience between direct to home, so satellite reception, plus let's say over-the-top capabilities. So that means the entire on-demand business that you could expect, where we will have one single experience that can be reached both with the current set-top box that you have, but also with hybrid set-top box that will be connected to the internet, and that will facilitate your ability to go and look for the content that you want to see at the time that you want to see it. So that's a huge investment on our side. It's something that we've been worked for more than 5 years now. So 2014 we started to invest heavily into this hybrid strategy to help our clients to embrace the digital world and to ensure that you will have the same kind of experience, let's say like the one that you can have on when you are browsing, let's say, video content over the internet, and ensuring that satellite could provide the same kind of experience in terms of viewer value proposition, but also through the hybrid strategy, mixing both satellite reception with OTT capability. That's not all, because we are also, you will see that, and you probably already heard about it. So EutelSat is investing heavily in our ability to tackle the digital divide in Africa. So we are launching a dedicated satellite that is called Konnect, that will be only for broadband utilization, so providing internet everywhere. That's something that we already open in several countries in Africa, and that we're expecting to deliver also to the Ethiopian market, both for let's say broadband connectivity by satellite, but also deploying some what we call Wi-Fi hotspot, let's say in rural area, to ensure that let's say all the population can access to broadband connectivity and internet connection in the most efficient way and in the most competitive way. And competitive way, I mean obviously the pricing that will come with it, but also this ability to demonstrate that once we're going to deploy this broadband strategy over the Ethiopian market, we will make sure that you will get the best broadband experience. That means, let's say, bandwidth that will be close to 20 megabytes per second in terms of client experience, which is quite impressive and very far from what you could have today, especially if you are moving out of the urban area. So very large investment for us. So Konnect Africa will be the first satellite that will be launched at the end of December. And we're going to get a second one that will be dedicated for the European market, that will come 12 months later, and that will be the largest one, one of the largest, let's say, broadband satellite over Europe. So now everything that I said, you could think that okay, Mr. Oliva is doing good in terms of, let's say, evolution roadmap and investment over the Ethiopian market, but we are not stopping our investment. We also launched in June 2019, and the satellite is going to be in operation at the beginning of 2020. So it's a brand new satellite that we call 7C, where we're going to have, let's say, what we call a steerable beam. That means dedicated beam over Ethiopia that will provide some additional capabilities that will come also with a lot of innovation. And that's going to be the most powerful beam that you will have in the Ethiopian market. So we will discuss furthermore on what will be the different use case and why we're making that additional investment. But it's also to explain that for large pay TV operator or for specific channels that would want to have dedicated beam for the Ethiopian market, this is something that we can achieve also by launching an entire broadcast platform as a service that will integrate the entire evolution that we have, both our Cirrus platform, what we call our smart electronic program guide, and the last news is that we are also investing, and this is an announcement that will be made, that is currently made, and that will be announced in the 3 coming months. We're going to come up with what we call an analytics platform that will help the broadcaster to understand exactly what is the viewer experience, what are the data that we could gather to ensure the monetization in terms of advertisement revenue for the broadcaster. So it's really important because we mentioned, let's say that we had 90% market share. But what is most important for the broadcasters is to ensure that it's not only because you are on the most strategic orbital position with 4 million TV household coverage that you are able to really monetize the content that you have. But what we really want to demonstrate and where we really want to provide you the best value proposition is to make sure that you will get all the information that will facilitate your let's say, negotiation.
I just wanted to elaborate more. The first one is on the 7 satellite that you mentioned and how this video monetization plan works. Is it only related to with those who already have TV channels, or is it also possible for other people who have YouTube channels or something like that? And the other issue is with the internet that you are planning to provide. Did you manage to talk to the authorities here in Ethiopia specifically, because we are so far monopoly in the telecom sector? So if there is any progress, I will appreciate it. If you could give more insight on that. Thank you so much.
Ethiopian authority were expecting to build also geostationary satellites for their own telecommunication purpose. So yes, we are just starting the negotiation. To be totally transparent, we finalized negotiation, and that's why we opened the broadband connectivity market in DRC, in Nigeria, in Ivory Coast, and we are expanding now, and we are currently, let's say, negotiating with multiple governments to continue to deploy. And the good news is that it could be very interesting for the Ethiopian government, and that's why we're going to start the negotiation. Because the way the satellite has been designed, we implemented in the design of the satellite what we call a gateway. A gateway is, let's say, the ground segment that we will use to reach the satellite in terms of broadband signals that will go up before going down to the country. And this gateway could be located in Ethiopia. So that's also is a proof of, let's say, partnership and willingness that we have to demonstrate that we're really taking, let's say, this investment seriously, and especially with this level of, let's say, specificity in the design of the satellite for the Ethiopian market, and to also meet the regulatory requirement that you have to ensure that you can easily manage your own gateway. That means the ground segment and infrastructure and architecture in the Ethiopian market and in the Ethiopian country. For the Cyrus offering that we discuss, it's really the mix of both worlds. So that means the ability to provide the same kind of experience that you have when you are browsing videos through internet, getting all that on-demand capability through the search engine, benefiting from the recommendation engine related to the content that you want to see. And that's something that we're going to provide for clients that will have, let's say, access to only through DTH, and also with a hybrid strategy and hybrid setup box that will be both receiving signals from the satellite and signals from the internet, to really have one user interface that could do both. So that's answering both requirements, the OTT capability and the DTH capabilities through one graphical user interface.